Baltimore and middle of this conundrum right now about buying and selling and whether they're in the race. And we're waiting on the Ravens to get back and sort of licking the wounds from the backside of the NBA and the NHL season. Thought it'd be a nice time to catch up with this guy. We have him on a whole lot during basketball season, maybe not as much during football season given the relevancy of the program, but he is Mr. Terp. He is Mr. Terp Talk. You've heard him here. You've heard him down the dial and everywhere Terps fans gather. Bruce Posner is usually in the middle of it. You can find him at terptalk.com as well as Terp Talk on Twitter. Bruce, been a little while, man. I haven't allowed you to jump on WNST and beat on your chest and scream about winning 2 lacrosse championships, 2 national championships in one day, right? I mean, so please, by all means, have a little turtle party around here because hats off. Nice job down at College Park, right?
Hey, it was, Nestor, it was fantastic. And if you get me on the air, I'm going to talk about it because it's one of my passions. It's one of the sports I love the most over at Maryland. And the women seem to win all the time. It's 3 out of 4 years. They're unbelievable. Kathy Reese does a great job. But the men have been snake bit, and the curse is finally over, Nestor. And I have to tell you, with one victory, all the past frustrations kind of went out the window for me. And Coach Tillman, certainly Maryland right now is the gold standard of lacrosse. 6 Final Fours in 7 years, 1 championship now, 4 final games, and being in the Big Ten, which is clearly the number 1 conference right now, Maryland lacrosse could not be in a better stead, and I couldn't be any happier for Coach Tillman, who's done just an incredible job, and his entire staff. Though we just lost his defensive coordinator, Kevin Condrey, to Michigan, and certainly all the players led by Matt Rambo, who was up for ESP College Athlete of the Year. It's going to be a tough haul to get him winning that because of Deshaun Watson, but what the heck, just to be nominated is an honor in lacrosse. And, if there's Nestor, coming from where you are, there's a firm, solid, maybe 20,000 Maryland lacrosse fans. Kind of like hockey, all right?
Yeah, sure. And look, it's a niche sport. I grew up in Dundalk. I played baseball, right? And I've talked to everybody about this for 25 years. But, I respect everything about lacrosse. And the one thing as an outsider, and I'll always be an outsider just because I'm entering 50 and lacrosse isn't my thing, although I've attended, I think, 4 Final Fours. I went to one down at College Park 20 years ago. So I'm not a stranger to it. It's just not a passion of mine in the same way NASCAR isn't a passion of mine or the MMA isn't and hockey is. We're all attracted to different things, but I talked to Coach Tillman, and I would agree with you that in the modern era, look, I'm an old guy like you, Bruce. It was, what was it, North Carolina, it was Hopkins, it was Syracuse, and maybe one of the teams off of Long Island every now and again, but there were only a handful of schools that really played lacrosse at that kind of a high level for a period of time, and all of that has changed with Denver. All of that has changed with Notre Dame and the Midwest and the Big Ten and the places this sport is now being played, and it really is a tribute that there could be the kind of dominance that Maryland has enjoyed here under Coach Tillman, because it is a widely varied sport. It's not like it was 25 years ago where Hopkins and Syracuse, you just mailed them into the Final Four every year because they always had the best kids.
Yeah, certainly Maryland's had tremendous frustrations, losing 9 national championships in the 42 years, finally winning this one, but Maryland's always in the hunt. But right now, Maryland's the dominant team. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And I don't care who gets mad at me for saying it. But, look, Johns Hopkins is always knocking on the door, and Syracuse is always hanging around, and Notre Dame. And then each year it seems we get a few guys coming up. Albany, of course, for this year. And there's always...
Denver's always there, right? Once you get the legendary coach and you can lure kids there and they play... I was out in Denver and, I'm good friends with Tony Seaman. I know he's running that team out there at a Mile High Stadium. There's a real passion for it out there. And that just didn't exist 25 years ago. It wasn't deep like that. It was deep here, but it was a regional sport. It's no longer a regional sport.
No,
hey, just the game being played on Memorial Day on national TV, people associate Memorial Day with these guys with the crazy sticks in places where they don't know the sport that well.
Yeah, Nestor, you're a Final Four, you're a World Series, you're a Super Bowl kind of guy. You're always there. Well, think about this. Me as being a lacrosse guy, 6 of the last 7 years I've been on the road on Memorial Day watching Maryland attempt to win a national championship. If that isn't dominance, I don't know what is. Now, it's unfortunate we lost 4 of them, but those days have passed. Maryland sits on top of the lacrosse world along with the women who've won their 3rd in 4 years. They're off the charts, and I'm a happy camper with that. I really am, and I don't make no bones about it.
Well, we're getting ready this summer for football season, and I think for anyone who's been to College Park, and I know you spent so much of your years, your formative years, your fandom, your tailgates, your Gary Williams era, all that stuff down there, but even just people that have been down there and go see a game here or a game there, they haven't been down there in a couple of years or whatever it is, to see the campus start to change so much now with the basketball gym, with the dorms. Richie Coliseum used to be something when I used to run down there. But to see Cole Fieldhouse now change into something for the new generation, I think every football fan will be very, very nosy running around there in a couple of weeks once the games start to see it, sniff it, feel it, because there's a big change blowing down in College Park, and a lot of that's with Under Armour. But the football program is expected to compete now over the next 5 years in a way that getting your ass kicked by Ohio State and Michigan is not going to be acceptable for long.
Now, here's the thing. This is going to be a rough year for Maryland, in my opinion. The schedule, they have the number 1 most difficult schedule in the country, and it's not close. When you analyze, they've got the big 4 in their division, Michigan State, Michigan, Ohio State, and Penn State. They go to Texas on opening day, and they have West Virginia at home, and they also play at Minnesota and at Wisconsin. Nestor, this is like an insane schedule. But next year, and I hate to keep talking about years as we both get older, but next year you have a 12-man recruiting class right now with 4 stars. Coach Durkin has dominated the DMV. He's done a great job, and I think that the future, and with the Under Armour Center opening very, very soon, that things are only looking up for Maryland football. But we're going to have to get through this year because it's going to be tough. There's no doubt about it. But I think everybody knows that.
Well, going down to Austin to start the thing and seeing the sea of burnt orange down there, they're certainly going to, they dip their toe into the deep end right away, into the chilly water, right?
Look, I believe in playing the toughest teams. And, you go like we always talk about with basketball, you get 5 or 6 games a year. They're just ridiculous. It's like, why are you even playing the games except to get W's? I think the tougher the schedule is, the tougher you make your team. Tom Izzo's been a great proponent of that, and he always finds a way to get in the tournament, and his team's always ready. And, certainly Notre Dame football always plays the toughest schedule, and it's worked for them. And I believe what Durkin's doing is right. And if you want to be the best, you got to beat the best. And being in our division, it's a little unfair, but that's life. And tackle on the other games, and let's see what happens. But
they can't figure out anything until they get a quarterback, right, Bruce? I mean, that really lies underneath of this is DJ Durkin needs a quarterback and needs a quarterback that can run the system here. Listen,
the whole problem with Randy Edsall was he never had a quarterback. All right, I mean, you went from Scott McBride to a so-so Danny O'Brien, who kind of benefited from having a guy named Torrey Smith on his team, who caught 12 touchdown passes. All right, and then really from the point of Scott McBride, who 12, 15 years ago, you talked about the C.J. Browns, a great kid. I mean, Perry Hills again, but these are not your primo quarterbacks. No knock to them. And now you got to have a quarterback. You've got to have it. It's why Joe Flacco makes $22 million a year. You've got to have one. And Maryland has not had that primo quarterback. Hopefully this year it's Caleb Henderson, but he's got a choice of 5 guys. So I'm optimistic, and, the tail's in the tape when they play.
Bruce Posner does all things Turtles at terptalk.com as well as Terp Talk on Twitter. Hey, I didn't mean to cut you off there, Bruce. You had something else to say about the football program this year.
No, that's it. I know we wanted to talk about Melo and his the overlooking of Melo in the draft, and what I believe is the NBA is absolutely ruining college basketball with one and done. It's got to be taken away. Nestor, you had 16 freshmen taken in the first round, and only 2 seniors. Can you imagine that? In this whole country, the whole United States of America, 2 seniors taken in the first round. Think about all the players. And it's almost like a guy like Phil Jackson says, well, I don't want American players anymore. I want European players. All that's well and good. But you take a guy like Melo, he could have been a draft pick after his first year. He could have been a first or early second. And what is going to be the incentive for anybody to stay anymore?
Well, that's a hell of a question, and, Melo Trimble will be a case study, right? I mean, his freshman year, we wondered if he was coming back, whether it would benefit him to come back. Certainly as Maryland fans, we thought it would benefit them, and he put together the best group of players that year as far as talent that didn't play well together, especially not at the end of the year, and Melo was in the middle of that and expected to be the leader of all of it, and look, Melo Trimble changed the program here. All you have to do is look down at Mark Turgeon's career record and what happened before Melo Trimble, what happened when he arrived as far as playing games in March that matter and winning games in March that matter. But the Melo Trimble era here didn't end with anything special happening for them or him really in the end because he didn't get drafted. I mean, And I don't know that I can even argue with that, having watched him play his junior year last year. I mean, he was sort of a depreciating stock to some degree, and that's going to be a cautionary tale for everyone, as you've pointed out.
Here's the thing. I thought Melo had an excellent junior year. He had some very big games, a great game against Northwestern, hit that final shot in the final home game of the year. I mean, to me, he was a great Turk. Now, here's the other thing that maybe it gets personal, and you never get personal with athletes, but you can with college players because they're not out for the last dollar. They're playing for the university and not getting paid 5 cents. So here's Melo, all right, greatest kid in the world. I know you've talked to him. You've heard him talk. He's a sweetheart. He's like really a good kid. And the last thing that Turgeon wanted was for him not to be drafted. I mean, these kids come to college, to play basketball. I mean, in essence, that's what it is, and get an education in some cases. And it's just heartbreaking that, you when you have potential after the first year, then you come back, well, all of a sudden the NBA scouts sit there and they pick you apart. Well, your jump shot's not good enough. He's getting beat on defense. Just things that anybody gets exposed to, any player in basketball, except maybe LeBron and KD. Anybody who has flaws gets exposed. And the more you get exposed, I think your value goes down. And that's wrong. That's wrong. In other words, if these kids are going to leave after 1 year, let them go from high school. But if they start college, they got to stay for 2 years, or they got to stay for 3 years, just like in college baseball.
Well, Melo stayed 3 years, and now the question is, well, what's he going to do the next year? I mean, is there a place for him to go make $250,000 a year playing basketball, some sort of life? I mean, even $100,000 a year, like a job, playing basketball somewhere in the world? I mean, I guess there is, and you could, but I mean, just the fact that he didn't come back for next year. I always question that, but if it were my kid making no money, living on pizza down at College Park while everybody's wearing the kid's jersey, and, the opposite side of that is this goofball out in L.A., sort of hijacking the draft, Alonzo Ball nonsense, and I don't talk much about him, but, the whole sports...
He's great, Melo. Hey, he's great, Nestor. I'm going to tell you, he's unbelievable. He really is. And all his father did was promote him. But, we can't have a million people like that in basketball. But his father did a hell of a job promoting him. I mean, you got to be honest about it.
Okay, now he's going to have to go out and play, right? So, and if he's great, that's, I hear that about a lot of guys that are taking 1, 2, 3, and 4 in the draft, and, years go by and they turn into Kwame, right? But in the case of Melo Trimble, if the advice was you're going to get drafted and you're going to get drafted in the first round and someone's going to want you, boy, I wasn't hearing a lot of that in February. I wasn't hearing a lot of that in March. I wasn't hearing a lot of that in April. And I don't think anybody can be shocked about it in June. And I think when that decision time came in late March, early April as to what he really was going to do, I mean, I think a lot we've seen the last 10 years, so many of these kids just get horrible advice. At least go back to school, finish it out, and give yourself a chance to some degree, unless you're going to go make a lot of money in Greece or something, or in Turkey.
Yeah, you know what? First of all, he'll wind up making money somewhere, hopefully. I mean, he'll be in Europe or whatever. But, Nestor, what's the advantage of him coming back? what positive could have happened? To get picked apart some more? I mean, he won all kinds of games for Maryland. He turned the program around. He's a great kid. There's just no purpose anymore if your goal is to further a pro career. If the NBA calls you, like they called them in the first year, I believe that now you're going to see nobody come back. After what happened this year, 16 freshmen. This kid, Harry Giles, got drafted. He never played for Duke. In other words, they're drafted on potential, and they feel that a couple of years in the D-League is better off. All right. First of all, the NBA, they pay a guy, say, $1 million a year to go to the D-League. Now, to me and you and everybody listening out there in our audience, $1 million a year, you got to be nuts not to take it.
Right.
Okay?
Of course not.
But you know what it means to the NBA? Nothing. They're going to have to pay LeBron $40 million next year. So to take a stab on somebody for $1 million, to them, it doesn't mean much. And for a kid who doesn't have any money or, I don't know Melo's background or whatever, if he needed the money or whatever.
But $1 million would help any of us.
How about $500,000? How about $200,000? How about $150,000? What's that, bad? To play basketball? So in other words, the NBA is making it so that why are kids going to stay? And now the coaches will take the attitude like Calipari does. Hey, my kids came here to be a first-round pick. If they're a first-round pick, I've done my job. And that's how it goes. And
that's the business they're in, really.
Yeah, it really is. And I love Turgeon. He's a great guy, a great coach. He cares about the kids more than anybody. And I know that he's got to be upset about what happened to Melo. There's no doubt that he's not. But I think you're going to see the repercussion of it, that these kids, it's going to be hard to get somebody to stay. And that's the bottom line. And it's going to hurt college basketball when all these kids keep leaving. And where does it end? I don't know.
Where does it go on the court next year, Bruce? I mean, for the team and bringing back the herders and different players, it's going to be a different look without Melo Trimble. I don't know who usurps that role truly. I could take it over. But to your point, I mean, the Terps lost an elite player here. They're going to have trouble to replace him, and the NBA had no room for him, right?
Right. Well, here's the thing. Turgeon's a great coach. He's going to be able to replace him. Herder could be the real deal, and you got Cowan coming back, and you got some bigs coming in, and he's a relentless recruiter. Turgeon will never be short of talent. I'm telling you, never. And one of the reasons I like him so much is his work ethic and how he goes after it, just never stops working and plugging. He's a great coach, great guy, and he'll be successful no matter what. But you take a look at Justin Jackson. Now, he was borderline as to whether or not to go in the draft, okay? He's coming back. Right now, you know it and I know it. This is it for him. It's his sophomore year. That's it. He's not coming back anymore. So, however it works, they get a taste of that draft. They get a taste of it, and they say, all right, well, maybe I got to come back one more year. And,
or they get a bad taste of it because they go and no one notices, and they wind up getting a camp invite to Philadelphia.
Well, listen, they noticed Justin Jackson. All right, they did. They really did. And from what I hear, that it was a decision for him. And you didn't hear him come out the first day and say, "I'm coming back." All right, he thought about it, and hopefully he develops, gets better. But I'm just worried about that. And college basketball is changing, and you love college basketball. I love college basketball. We all do. But something's got to be done for college basketball, and that is either compensate the players to a point, or they have to stay for 2 years and make it a real college experience, rather than go to class for 4 months, and then once you know you're going to go to the draft, that's it. It's ridiculous. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar said it's a farce.
He is Bruce Posner at Terp Talk and TerpTalk.com. Go ahead, finish up for me, Bruce. I'll let you finish opining here. You're all fired up today, man.
I'm on a soapbox about it because I love Melo. I really do. He's just a great kid. And believe me, I don't know him that well, just to interview him a few times. But I've never saw a kid who's always got a smile on his face and plays unselfishly. And he's just a super kid, and I'm disappointed And you know it, and I knew it, he wasn't going to get drafted. I mean, when all you hear, he's not playing, he's like this and that, he's not good enough and all. I don't believe any of that stuff. And would the answer be to play for a year, then go to the D League for 2 years and own your craft, like the kid Yogi Farrell did from Indiana? Yogi Farrell didn't get drafted. He went to the D League, got his game, got a contract. You take a look at, how about Nigel Hayes from Ohio State didn't get drafted? You know, what is it? I don't get it. I watch these guys play, and it's like freshmen who are like okay, but not great.
I thought Swanigan was one of the best players I'd seen in recent years, and I mean, he wasn't anything special by NBA standards, right?
Well, he got drafted. Okay, I mean, it's Swanigan is good. The kid, from Purdue, but I don't know. I just don't know what the answer is. But it's not one and done. It's not one and done, Nestor. And I'll leave it at that. That's my soapbox. You don't hear me that fired up.
Man, I tell you what, man, it's like a 4th of July, a little red, white, and blue thing you got there, except it's red and white. Here's Bruce Posner, Terp Talk at TerpTalk.com. Hey, man, I hope you're having a great summer and enjoy yourself out there. In no time at all, we'll be kicking football off here. It'll be Labor Day, and Terps will be going down there to Austin, Texas, to the Big House. See what's going on.
I'm going to make you a deal, Nestor.
Go ahead.
You ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
Next year, Maryland's at Johns Hopkins. You're going with me to that lacrosse game. And you're going to see a classic, I promise you.
All right, give me the date. I'll get it into my calendar. I'm in.
We're
Count
10
me
months
in.
away, but you're going with me. We're going to sit there and watch it together, and you're going to see what lacrosse is all about.
You're going to turn me. You're going to turn me. Okay, I'm in. We're going to go to Homewood is what you're telling me, right?
All right, babe.
All right, I'm in. Bruce Posner, Terp Talk, Twitter, and TerpTalk.com, and some radio down the dial as well. You can always find him out at Terp Talk. He's the guy with the turtle shell. You can find me out in the Bayou Toyota Audio Vault 24 hours a day from anywhere in the world on your mobile device by downloading the TuneIn Radio app. We do come in crystal clear from anywhere in the world. Morning newspaper ships to your email inbox each and every morning at 7 a.m. That's all brought to you by Planet Fitness and PlanetFitness.com, where it is $10 and always $10 a month to get in bikini shape, and I'm seeing more bikinis show up on my Facebook and my Twitter feeds here. I'm on Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn, Snapchat, and Instagram, and streaming live on our Facebook as well as our YouTube WNSTV channel. And if you want all the breaking news, you want to be on the WNST Tech Service. That's all brought to you by Coons Ford of Security Boulevard, and Dennis Colatzos will be here from 3 until 5, driving you home on Thursday, getting you ready for the red, white, the blue, the parade, the Heritage Fair, the Wild-Eyed Southern Boys, the 38 Special, the Kicks Band playing in Dundalk this weekend. So it'll be good times around here. And I'm a very available individual. Nasty at WNST.net finds me. We are WNST.net, AM 1570, and WNST Towson, Baltimore, and we never stop talking Baltimore sports.